Jonny, I'm going to start with you. So, I mean, This Is Us, oh my God, aside from it being a phenomenal show, it was the highest rated show for NBC, as you know. They just had the closing, so, you know, round of applause for you and everything that the show has done. But it's really about you. I want to talk a little bit about you because, you know, we always talk about how hard it is to get into the writer's room, how hard it is to have diverse stories, and we're talking about how we are sharing our lived experiences. So you went from like an assistant to a staff writer, and you come from a rich, diverse background. How did all of that inform you? And then how did you find your authentic voice, going from assistant to staff writer and bringing that into the writer's room?
First of all, thank you for having me. This is beautiful. This is a great turnout too. Authentic voice, I think my parents are here and they'll tell you I've never had problem having my authentic voice be heard. I've been in theater since I was a little kid. They had trouble shutting down my authentic voice. So that's an incredible part. But it is true. I started as the writer's room assistant on the show. I joined at the end of season 2, beginning of season 3. My first week was the Super Bowl episode where the Pearson house burned down, spoiler alert. And so I kind of joined the show and I was like, you guys, this is crazy. What is this show? And I was so blessed to be able to be part of a room that encouraged me, even as an assistant, to speak up, share my story, and if I ever found something wasn't jiving with my experience or my own story, to let them know. And from a very, very early part, even as an assistant, to be able to kind of speak up and say, hey, I've lived that, and I don't think we're telling that story correctly. And to be an assistant, by the way, and to speak up in front of a room of writers and producers, I was like, I'm going to get fired today. This is going to be how my story ends. But they were so receptive, and they were so like, oh my, like, tell us what, you know, you've been through. And for me, it was kind of like, I mean, this is LA, I'm sure half the people in this room are in therapy, but if you've ever seen 15 people go to therapy at once where you were also everyone's therapist, that's kind of what that room was for us, to be able to share. I mean, This Is Us is not a high concept show. It's a story about families and everyday kind of situations. And we all supported each other in that way and told stories about our lives. And I always felt like part of that family from an early point. And I was very lucky to be able to be given a script in my second year there as an assistant, and to be kind of trained from the beginning to say, hey, we want you to be a writer on this show, just trust us and trust the process. And it kind of felt like, to me, it felt like grad school. I mean, it was 4 years. I loved everyone. I told everyone, have a great summer at the end of every year. And now it's kind of like senior year. It's all ending. And it's really emotional.